Hi and welcome to the item, and here we have the latest version of the Magic Table called the Mobii from OM Interactive. And with me is Mark, who's going to talk us through this product. Hi Mark. And tell me all about it, because this is an amazing product and it's really moved forward.
It is, and yeah, it certainly has. This is the latest version of our Mobii product. The product is designed to provide interactive audio-visual experiences onto a table surface, onto a floor surface, or any horizontal surface in between.
Okay.
Project onto beds, for example, if you want to. If you've got somebody in a care home that's immobile and restricted to bed, then you can take the unit to them and project onto the bed.
Fantastic.
And they can enjoy the experience there. So yeah, this is it. Portable product, nice and easy to move around. Not too heavy, so you can pick it up and move it off to somewhere else. It is height adjustable. So the idea is from the buttons on the back here, we can raise it up and we can lower it down. So we can use it on different height surfaces.
Sure.
So particularly up at this kind of height, we would start to be using it on a table. At its lower height, that's the height at which you would use to move it around. Yeah. But also it will project onto the floor, which we can show a little later.
Excellent. Very simple
product to use. We pride ourselves on making these products easy to use, so people don't have to worry about the technology that's inside there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Technology can be a scary thing these days, so we steer away from that as much as possible. Just make it simple for somebody to plug it in, switch it on, remote control, away you go. That's it.
Fantastic.
Simple as that.
I see it's a really good compact design as well, again, so it's easy to move around in and out small corridors and everything.
Exactly. You haven't got worries about trying to get it through doorways or anything like that. Just move it to where you need it, switch it on, and off you go.
Fantastic. And who would really benefit from this? Is this for everybody?
Oh, so many people would benefit from this in all kinds of settings. I like to say that something like this appeals to children of all ages, so the child in all of us. But it's not just about that, it's about providing a therapeutic experience, whether that be from a cognitive or a physical perspective.
Sure.
Providing a fun experience, providing an experience that's more socially engaging, so people can interact with each other. You know, encouraging people in a care environment these days to interact together is really difficult.
Yes.
The last couple of years have been a nightmare from that perspective. You know, social well-being within care homes has been difficult to maintain.
Absolutely.
People can't go out. You can't have visitors coming in to provide entertainment. So having a product like this around provides a real fantastic resource that is there when you need it.
Okay.
So helping with that social well-being aspect between care residents, but not only care residents, but with staff as well. So between staff and residents, between residents and staff, between residents and their families.
I see, yeah, absolutely.
That's the other thing. So you've got this intergenerational benefit as well. So young kids will come in and they understand these technologies, they've seen them around, they gravitate towards them really, really quickly. So, you know, it's a great way for little Johnny to come in and enjoy something with grandma.
Yeah, I can see
that they haven't been able to do before, you know. So, yeah, there's so many benefits that are too endless to list right now, but we'll go through some of those as we demonstrate it on the table and on the floor, and you can get to see. But in essence, we're just a very simple product. Simple on-off button on the side there turns it on and off. The height adjustment buttons are on the back here. So, like I say, you plug it in, switch it on, adjust it to where you need it, and off you go. Once you're using the product, once the product has started, you've got a very simple remote control here. Dead easy. Nice and robust as well, so in a care setting this is going to last pretty well.
Absolutely.
And in essence that's the Mobii, so I guess next we'll see it on a table.
Fantastic, I can't wait. Let's get on the table.
Okay, so we've got the system switched on. Let's raise it up and let's use it on a tabletop. Standard white table. Hopefully most care homes have got a standard light coloured table. Any light colour will work fine. Ideally if it's rectangular, but the shape doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. It's more about the experience at this point. So up we come, just adjusting it to fill up the tabletop as much as we can.
Wow.
And have a play.
Sure, yeah, the colours are really vibrant and it just invites you to touch it, and
it does.
The minute you do, I'm smiling. So I can imagine anyone who just does this, it's an automatic reaction, isn't it?
As I said earlier, it appeals to the child in us. It's just a very basic instinct that just gets your attention, and something like this is such an amazing, relaxing experience.
Yeah.
You know, water always has that effect on anybody, and you can actually feel yourself cooling down, calming down with something like this. So imagine a scenario where you've got 3 or 4 residents in a care setting, all interacting together. It's something they can all do, they can all enjoy, they can talk to each other about, they can all enjoy the experience together. So from a social well-being perspective, it adds huge, huge weight. But not just for the residents themselves, but for the residents, the staff of the environment, but also grandchildren, children can come in and enjoy this experience with their relatives together.
Absolutely.
So simple yet so powerful.
It's great. The sound's realistic. The waves, the ripples are amazing. It's just so realistic. It's fantastic.
And while it's running, we can even do things like speed up the fish or slow down the fish. Slow them right the way down. And in this mode, you will see them swim away from you as well. So the fish will actually interact.
Yes.
Which is quite unique.
Oh yeah, I see. Absolutely.
And there is a mode that you can switch so that they will actually swim towards you as well. So you can do exercise like feeding the fish.
Right.
Just by paddling in the water, and they will actually all shoal towards you. So lots of different things you can do and different ways you can set it up.
Yeah.
But something like this, while you think, well, it looks a fairly straightforward thing, has a lot of benefit for relaxation and this kind of thing. But the other benefits that something like this can have is from a physiotherapeutic perspective. As a carer watching a resident interact with this, you can start to look at how well somebody's hand-eye coordination is functioning.
Yes.
How their gross and fine motor skills are working.
Absolutely.
So things like targeting skills, all these kind of things, spatial awareness, they come into play when you might say to a resident, for example, oh, see if you can catch that fish. So you can use an assessment tool without the resident actually thinking they're being assessed in any way, shape or form.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
What it does, it gives you a really good benchmark for how somebody is being affected by whatever conditions that they present with. And use that as a baseline tool to make sure that they're not getting any worse, to help to show some improvement in those skills, and to help keep those skills active. That's the important thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Physical activity, the cognitive activity, make sure those things are not suffering as a result of whatever conditions they're presenting. All those kind of things you can do. There are a vast array of applications on here that vary in their ability to provide a fun experience, a sensory experience, a therapeutic experience. There's a whole gamut of different ways you can use something like this, but all presented in a fun and engaging way. And that's the most important thing.
Again, I just want to keep playing.
That's the point. Yeah.
And I could see, obviously, with the sound of the water, the calmness of it, it is very therapeutic. And you're quite happy to sit here for a long time.
You imagine how much you can improve the social well-being in a care setting.
Yes.
Generally, between staff, residents between residents, encouraging residents to talk to each other as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then seeing things that stories that are driven by these kind of experiences that residents will then start to open up and talk about. And all of a sudden, you've got carers learning more about residents than they ever knew. Because they will start talking about things that they've perhaps not expressed before. And we hear stories like this all the time. Stories of an experience the residents had on a table that they all of a sudden start talking about, and then something new in their history comes out. Yeah. And all of a sudden, people are starting to talk about that between themselves.
So it's a great conversation.
Yeah, that's a great conversation.
Fantastic. You mentioned sensory. Can we have a look at some of the sensory applications?
Well, pretty much all of the applications have a sensory aspect in some way, shape or form. And there's no real easy way to interpret that. But you've got the benefits of what you're seeing, the benefits of what you're hearing. Yeah. So there is that sensory experience in every application. But in terms of specific sensory, not necessarily. They all have a sensory aspect in some way, shape or form.
Sure.
But other applications will have different benefits. So things like hand-eye coordination or targeting skills, these kind of things. So something like this, for example, this is a wipe effect. And in essence, what we're doing is we're wiping away the top image to reveal the image underneath.
Ah, yes.
Which is quite nice. And these images could be anything. So if you wanted to have, say, a reminiscence experience, you could have pictures that are familiar to the residents.
Yeah, okay.
Embed one underneath the other, and then all of a sudden they're painting a picture that they recognise. Or it might be something that you want to help to trigger a memory.
Yeah.
So all those kind of experiences are possible. The other thing that you can do as well, one of the things that we provide the systems with is a thing called an activity kit. And this has got lots of interesting toys and bits and pieces inside, but one of the things it comes with is a paintbrush.
Ah, perfect. Yes.
So if you've got residents in their past that have been artistic or been painters and decorators, for example, you can give them a paintbrush. And you just start to paint some of the colours in, and just have some fun with that.
Very clever.
And if you want to encourage residents to interact with each other, then you could have residents sitting one across one side of the table and another across the other side of the table, and just simply roll a ball through to see what happens.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah.
And that's particularly powerful if we go back to the water, for example.
Yes, I can imagine that.
Particularly powerful when it goes through water. It literally is like a ball rolling through real water. It's fantastic. So just encouraging people to interact with each other is a great thing. So something like this, for example, you might think, well, we're just rolling a ball to each other. But of course, what that does, it helps to identify how people's fine and gross motor skills are functioning.
Absolutely.
How their hand-eye coordination skills are working.
Yeah.
So if there's any trend in degradation in that, you've instantly got an alert to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's a unique baseline for a test.
Very clever, very, very clever. I noticed the applications load very quickly as well.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And there are a huge variety of applications as well. Some in excess of 150 applications that come with one of the suites that we provide it with.
Yeah.
And in a care setting, it's the care suite.
Okay. So how many would you get in the care suite itself, actually buying the unit?
About 150 applications come with it, but also the ability to create your own. And this is where it sort of steps up to the next level, which we can talk about another time, but in essence gives the ability for care homes to create their own unique applications.
Yeah.
And you might want to do that for the benefit of particular individuals. And it may be from the perspective of a theme you're working on, or a theme that's the talk of the day. You know, this year we've got the Queen's 70th anniversary.
Yeah.
So you might want to use create some applications that utilise photographs that depict that. You know, some of the history of that. All kinds of different things. Photographs of weddings that people have attended, family members, all kinds of different things you can incorporate into and expand these applications.
That's
and
great.
you can create individual folders of applications as well. I mean, at the top level of this particular machine, this has got lots of different packages on it. They don't all come with all of these. These are for all kinds of different sectors that we provide the unit into.
Yeah.
But you could have folders here that have the individual's name on them.
Right, okay.
That can be passcode locked as well. So you're protecting personal photographs. But you can use that as a basis for providing a therapeutic experience for that individual, using photographs of places and faces that they recognise.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
So that widens the scope even further of what's possible. But to give you an example of some of the different things, some different effects and different sights and sounds. This is a scatter effect, so we're scattering away blooms to reveal what's hidden underneath. Now something like this, you might think it looks relatively straightforward, but it can have a therapeutic benefit, something like this. And we can use it as an assessment tool as well. So one of the elements that's on this particular remote control here is a button that's called interaction freeze.
Okay.
And what that does, that prevents the system from being interacted with. So now I've locked that by pressing that button. You see the icon there that shows the interaction freeze is active.
Yeah.
We can't interact with it. So with something like this, for example, we could ask the people to have a little look and see if they can work out what's hidden underneath the balloons.
Okay, yeah.
So we're trying to help to see how their cognitive functions are working.
Yeah.
You know, are they able to identify what this is? They may well say, well, that's a bird, but okay, well, what kind of bird could that be?
Sure.
And try and encourage them to see if they can just work out enough of what's there to work out what kind of bird that is. And when they've done that, then we can release the interaction freeze, and off they go.
Very
so
clever.
it's a fun therapeutic tool as
yeah,
well.
absolutely. I can see how that works very well, absolutely.
And so the applications, they all work in that similar kind of vein, but for different reasons. But then, in many ways, the benefits of each of the applications can be the interpretation of the carer that's working with this with a resident.
Yeah.
You know, they can decide what they think they can establish when they're working with the resident. It could be anything. It could be anything. just looking at those little signs that tell them that the resident is happy,
Yeah.
that they're content, that they're not suffering any degradation of their senses or their function as a result
Sure.
of whatever conditions that they are presenting with. And that's the general idea.
Oh,
This whole thing.
right, yeah. And again, with your toolkit which comes with it, you can use your paintbrush on this, you can use anything.
Absolutely. Yep. And there's all kinds of. If people have got limited reach, for example, they can use something like that just to reach out
Just
a little
sweep
bit
away.
further, just to enjoy the experience a little bit more. This probably works better on the floor, but there's a large kind of football here that you can use to roll across. And we'll show that one.
Oh.
We'll show that one a little bit later, but you get the general idea.
Absolutely.
Even things like beanbags for throwing in. Even things like beanbags that you can use in some of the targeting effects.
Yeah.
And again, they're just playing a fun game,
Yeah.
but at the same time you're able to see how their hand-eye coordination is
gracious.
working,
Absolutely.
and make that assessment. If you choose to use it that way, either that or it's just people having fun.
So it's really versatile. You can be
It's
used
very
in
versatile.
many different ways.
Yeah, there are very few limits in what you can achieve. What you achieve with. Because the beauty is you can't break this. You're just projecting onto a tabletop.
Absolutely.
You can't
yeah.
do any harm at all.
Fantastic. And it looked so easy to set up the way you just zoomed out and it appears. So the whole setup, again, very simple.
Absolutely, very simple. So we'll show it on the floor in a minute, and you can see how it works on a floor. And we'll talk about the different ways that you can engage people in that experience on the floor.
Excellent. Let's try it. So Mark, moving from table to floor or vice versa, is there anything we need to do?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
The system is pre-set up. We call it calibrated.
Yep.
It's pre-set up so that when you adjust the height of the machine, it automatically adjusts its settings to suit the size of the projection.
Excellent.
And when it's in floor mode, it knows it's in floor mode. When it's in table mode, it knows it's in table mode, so it does all that adjustment for you. The only thing you might want to do is when you transition between the table or a floor, you might just want to adjust the focus of the projector. It might go slightly out of focus with a different size image.
Sure.
So you just adjust that on the top to correct that. That's it, it's all you have to do.
Very simple. Excellent. So here we have the Mobii now projecting on the floor. Mark, I see we're just using a simple bit of vinyl here.
We are, just a regular piece of white vinyl. We're using this purely because this floor is quite dark.
Yes.
But if you've got a light coloured floor, you can just project straight onto that.
Fantastic.
So yeah, we've lowered the unit down now to its lowest position, and now we're projecting onto the floor, and we can just interact with this the same way as we did on the table. We're doing it with our feet. So in this scenario, in a care setting, you're encouraging people to get up and move about,
Right, yeah, I can see,
which
yeah.
is great. Getting them paddling, and something like this, it has a strange psychological effect when you're standing in this water. It's almost as if you are paddling in water. You
Yeah.
get that same feeling of calmness, of it cooling you down. But yeah, it's a great way of just having a bit of fun, but getting people moving, that's the important thing. Getting them up out of
Absolutely.
their chairs.
Yeah.
Encouraging them to enjoy the experience together, but getting a little bit of exercise without realising that they're getting the exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good size on the floor as well, isn't it? Very nice.
It will go larger. If you've got a lighter colour floor, you can simply raise it up with the buttons at the back and you'll get a larger image. As I said, it won't show very well on this darker colour floor, but you get the general idea.
Absolutely.
And you can do all the same kind of things that we showed on the table with some of the toys as well. The big ball's disappeared somewhere. I don't know where that's gone, but same kind of idea. You know, you can be kicking that about, rolling that about, just
Absolutely.
encouraging people to move, to stretch, to
Yeah.
just do something a little bit different. And again, in a fun and engaging way.
Fantastic. Very realistic again.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got the sound as well, so that sound is interactive. So when there's no movement at all, that will die away and that will stop. But all the time you're moving, that sound will build up. So it
Again, yeah.
adds to the kind of realism, if you like.
Absolutely, yeah. I totally get that. So here we have the Mobii, showing exactly how mobile it is, being able to be brought into someone's bedroom and now projecting directly onto their duvet. And what situations would we use this for?
A couple of different scenarios, really. You've obviously got people who are bed bound, so physical restrictions mean that they are stuck in bed a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So this gives them something different to interact with, hopefully in order to brighten their experience and make being stuck in bed a little nicer for them.
Yeah.
The other scenario is if you've got somebody that's in an end-of-life care program, then you've got the ability for relatives and particularly youngsters, you know, grandchildren, grandsons, granddaughters, be able to come in and interact together with grandma, granddad, in a completely different way, but in a way that engages them all to be able to do something together and just make it a much nicer experience. You know, it's never easy going to visit someone that's end of life care. Been there myself, and it's a difficult experience. You know, the atmosphere is never that great, but with this, it just takes away that. It just gives a lift to the whole experience.
Absolutely,
that's the idea. Very simple, but you know, again, very, very effective.
And again, it shows again the mobility of the Mobii itself, how easy and versatile it actually is.
It does, and all we've done, we've just adjusted the height so that the image fits nicely onto the bed. We just interact with it in the same way and get the same experience. You know, you get that sensory experience, that relaxing experience, that calming experience. Just makes the whole idea of being stuck in bed much more pleasant.
Fantastic. So far, I've just seen us two using it, and simultaneously, can more than two people use it at the same time?
Absolutely, yes, they can. You can have as many as is comfortable in the space using it. It's there are no restrictions.
Fantastic.
So more or less as many people as you like, but obviously you don't want too many because it's going to start to get crowded.
Yeah.
But you know, I can interact with this from this end, you can interact with that end, and as many people as you want that are comfortable can interact with it at the same time. So yeah, no issues with that at all. Okay, so you sat in your chair, but if you're in a wheelchair, you could wheel your wheelchair through it, as if you're wheeling through water.
Yes, absolutely.
You're not going to do this piece of vinyl any harm.
So it's inclusion.
Enjoy that experience as well.
So it's inclusion. Everyone's included.
Everybody's included. Nobody's excluded from being able to get something from it, and that's the real beauty.
That's clever, I like that.